Round 9 of the British GT Championship comes from the full international circuit here at Oulton Park, and it's a place the drivers love. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got ups, downs, fast lefts, fast rights, even a whacking great lake in the middle to catch you out.
David Leslie, touring car driver extraordinaire. Great to have you in GTs. You know, would you say that your heart's really in GT racing, particularly driving this Ferrari?
It's fantastic to be able to drive a Ferrari, to be invited along. Mark O'Neill, who normally drive the car, invited me along with Tommy to drive the thing. And just to be in a car that sounds wonderful when you're out there, absolutely fantastic.
Is there anything as a driver, you know, just getting used to the different kind of way they handle?
Getting used to the car, the 6-speed gearbox, it's a manual change is the biggest thing, because the touring car is a sequential change. It's a big car, it's much heavier, it's much quicker in a straight line, and it takes a little bit more stopping when you get to the corners. So one or two things we've got to learn to do, and not jump over the curbs like we do with the touring cars, because that does damage to it, and I've been told off for that already.
Callum Locke, you had a great win, you and Jamie Davis, the first win of the year last time out at Rockingham. Now, it's a bit of a Ferrari fest, which is great for the fans and great for the championship.
The David Leslie, Tommy Rustad one is, they're obviously both good drivers and they're going to be right there. The second Velox car is going extremely well, 2 good drivers in it. They had good running yesterday and got good setup, and it showed up with their qualifying position.
How do you think the weather, because it's hot, how's that going to affect tyres, and is that going to help you in terms of conserving your rubber over the course of a race?
I think we're going to be in much the same boat as everyone else. The Ferrari is quite gentle on tyres, I think perhaps a little gentler than some other cars. Hot weather, if there's going to be a problem, I think most people are going to have it. Maybe a spot of rain, that could be interesting.
Martin Short, leading the championship, continue to do so well in the championship. Tell us about these other Ferraris coming in.
Well, the second Velox car is without doubt in as a spoiler. Sam Lee, the team principal of Velox, is obviously very serious about bringing us a meaningful challenge. We've obviously got a points advantage, but I would hate to see it becoming a TVR Ferrari war. Definitely do not want to get into a physical championship. I left that kind of stuff years ago in one-make stuff, and we want championships settled in a proper manner. This is a professional series.
Tim Mullen, championship murmurings are that the second Velox Ferrari is here to take points away from the other championship contenders. What do you say about that?
Where did you hear such scandal? That's not true.
Surely, if they're leading the championship and you're coming in, it wouldn't be anything controversial for you to, you know, I don't know, do what the Formula One team did and gift a win.
No comment.
Well, there's a 30-point advantage that Martin Short and Simon Pullen have over Tim Sugden and that Ferrari of Lockie and Davis, but all to play for. In GTs, Ian McKellar and Tommy Erdos are looking strong at the top of the table, but with 4 rounds to go, it could still all change. Well, as we're on our warming-up lap now, we can see the Audi pace car bringing the cars round. It's Dave Warnock and Mike Jordan on pole position from the number 7 Celine of Ian McKellar and Tommy Erdos. The TVR tucked in on row number 2, and it's the second Celine, and a third Celine heads up row number 3 with Chris Marries and Mike Newton as they go down. Approaching here, and we can see it's a damp racetrack. The Lister and the Celine are very close together. The pace car, safety car has gone in, and we are going green, green, green. The Lister gets a good start down into the first turn. The Celine looking a little bit tentative on the outside. I've got Julian Bailey joining me this weekend, and Julian, it looked like that was a great start from the Lister. Now, I know we got a situation, maybe wets and dries. Can you advise us on that?
Well, it's a fantastic start there, but I imagine he's on different tyres from the Celine. He's driving, you know, comfortably. He seems to have a lot more grip than the Celine, so I would imagine he's on different tyres, but a great start for Dave Warnock.
Yeah, it was indeed a great start, and we're now on board with the third Celine entering this weekend, tucked right in behind the other Celine, the number 8 car of Tom Herridge and Nathan Kinch. Now it is actually Tom Herridge who's starting in that car, so Tom Herridge behind the wheel of the car that we're with right now. We're actually on board with Mike Newton in the number 9 Celine, so we've got 3 Celines running in the championship this weekend, but right now, the leading car is that Lister, and that is Dave Warnock pedaling that just in behind him. Normally starting, of course, is Tommy Erdos in the number 7 Celine. Well, of course, Tommy Erdos, we guess, is on slick tires. Warnock is actually on intermediate or wet tires, so there is a big difference in the amount of grip that these cars have got available to them. Now, Julian, even with rain tires right now, it's going to be very, very slippery with these big, heavy cars right early in this race, isn't it?
It's the worst nightmares, these conditions, picking the right tyres. These cars are difficult to drive, heavy, a lot of power going through those rear wheels, and it's so easy just to give too much power and off you go.
absolutely. These guys all doing just to keep the cars on the track. And Dave Warnock doesn't manage to do that, coming out of Druids. A great move just to the left. He jigged to the left. Tommy Urdos avoids him. The TVR avoids him. The two other Salines avoid him. Warnock is getting going again. And that was very, very unfortunate that he spun it. That is one of our championship contending cars, Callum Lockie in the number 88 Ferrari. Warnock spin here, Julian. I guess that was just some kind of problem in the middle of the corner, but then we saw a shot there of the 88 Ferrari, which looked like it had some damage. Now, we don't know what that's all about, but we're getting reports back that he's perhaps made contact with the number 55. Yeah, we can just see that. We're on board with it now. This is Simon Pullen in the championship leading TVR. Now, reports, if we can just get a look back at the back end of that car. Yes, we can. Look, that is it. We're on board with the 66 Ferrari now. The reports we have is the 88 Ferrari and that car ahead have made contact. Right rear of that TVR and the front left of the Ferrari we saw earlier. But this is a really good battle now in these very tricky conditions. Right now we're looking, that's a good move up the inside. Pierce Maserati making his debut in the British Championship this year. Gets a good move up the inside of the number 17 Ultima. Julian, what do you think caused that problem with Dave Warnock around that part of the track?
Very tricky corner up there, Druids, and I just think he went in too fast too soon. He hadn't had a good look at the conditions, and he was doing so well to be ahead of Tommy Urdos, and he just got overconfident, I feel, and just too much speed into the corner.
Oh, and talk about too much speed in the corner. That's Tim Mullen, another debut driver, and he's right up at the back of Steve O'Rourke's number 57 Porsche. Tim Mullen just got the call a few days ago to come and drive that AAA Ferrari, and I would say that's just a little bit more than a love tap there, Julian. He is really hard into the back of that Porsche. It's cost him some time, and it's actually Stephen Watson in the GT Viper that's managed to get ahead. Unfair driving, I'd say, Julian. He's really hard into the back of that car.
Yeah, almost off there. You know, he's a cautious driver, and he won't be very happy with that sort of driving tactics, and maybe the officials won't either.
I think you're probably right, Julian. And that's a good move by Stephen Watson around the outside of Steve O'Rourke, and Tim Mullen is trying to follow through as they go through Lodge and down into Deer Leaf. So Stephen Watson takes advantage of that situation. And he is very, very greasy there, and Tim Mullen trying to get around the outside of Steve O'Rourke. There's another Viper there, the red one now, which is being driven by Peter Cook, driving this race on his own this weekend. Just lives a couple of miles up the road from the track, does Peter Cook. And here we are, the 66 Ferrari, just sliding up the inside of Simon Pullen, who must be having problems, having had that contact with the back of his car, but he seems to be going okay at the moment, Julian.
Yeah, and we can see Steve O'Rourke now holding up a few more cars, and they'll be pretty anxious to get by him.
Yeah, very much so. We're coming up to the fast left-hander here in Ireland, and we've got rain on the windscreen here, Julian. Obviously, it's very tricky conditions already, but the rain is starting to come down, and that is going to make things very, very difficult indeed, pulling up the inside.
Well, it'll be interesting now to see, we knew that Warnock was probably on wets, and he would have been in a great position had he not spun. But these guys are going to really suffer. If they've done slicks now, they've made the wrong decision, and they're going to suffer badly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think you've got it right. Most of these guys are on slick tires, and right now a few of them are piling up behind that 57 car of Steve O'Rourke, who's just being a little bit more cautious. And that is Callum Lockie in the 88 Ferrari. We know he made contact with the 55 TVR earlier. That is disastrous for their championship hopes. It looked like their race is over. Remember, the championship battle between the 55 TVR, the 88 Ferrari, and that 57 Porsche in the GTO battle. 99 Porsche comes in to get wet tires, we think, going from slicks to wet. And look at this, Stephen Watson in the Viper, getting ahead of the Lister. And here we're on board, and also putting a move up the inside of the Lister. Tim Mullen in the GTO Ferrari, getting ahead of that GT car. We're now looking at the back end of that Viper as the 99 Porsche goes out into competition. Julian, this must be so difficult when the conditions start to change like this.
Very difficult to know how, when to push and read the track conditions. This is where the good drivers show their true mettle, though. They've got a lot more experience, and everyone's coming in now. It's going to start pouring down.
We saw the Porsche in and pouring down. Julian, you called it absolutely right. That is Peter Cook. And look at these conditions on the commentary box here. It's absolutely pelting it down. And there's no question about it right now that this track is almost undrivable. Wet or dries, the 52 Lotus goes up there. Robert Ross just managed. Now this is down at Knickerbrook. That's the number 8 Selena. The 9 is coming down into Origin. Oh my God, that is a massive shunt between the number 9 and the number 8 Celine. Two cars, the teammate cars. Cars in the same stable, and they have made a serious contact. That is the Viper, I think, just up there. Stephen Watson, number 38. The Marshal needs to be getting out of the way. And oh my God. Wow, we just hope that he's that he's managed to be okay. And we see the Ferrari spinning off there, and he has gotten up. The Lister just getting through on its wet tires. See Mike Newton there, I think it was just running off from the number 9 car. The 55 TBR hits the Ferrari and the Celine and the Viper. Simon pulling in that car. Well, and this is Shane Lynch. Now he's going off just before the previous chicane, before we get to Hilltop, coming out of Fulston. Now we're back down here at Knickerbrook, and the TBR, the Marco, excuse me, going off. The number 19 car also going off where Shane Lynch did. We can see the 57 car there, Steve O'Rourke, and this is a terrible situation. Look at that, Julian. That's Mike Newton just there to the right, looking at the damage. Now he actually owns both of those Celines that are sat there in the middle of the track. So he is, thankfully he's okay, but boy is he going to be feeling upset about the damage to those two very, very expensive racing cars. Now the news we have from all the drivers are okay. Stephen Watson is out of that car. Mike Newton's out of the car. Simon Pullen is out of the car. 79 Porsche going off with Julian. This is just unbelievable. Red flags are out. They're calling a halt to this, not a moment too soon.
Well, we can see that he's just stranded there. You can see him just trying to move that car, number 8 car, out of the way at the last minute, but he can't. Stalls it, and wow, this was a hell of an impact.
Boy, oh boy, they were both very, very fortunate. But completely passengers. There's absolutely nothing they could do about that. We're on board now with Mike Newton in the number 9 car.
You can just listen. You can hear the revs just spin up. There's no grip at all, and he's just a complete passenger.
Wow, you just saw that yellow flag there on the outside, but you couldn't see that or the car down in the distance, could you?
Well, I'll tell you, I've had that happen to me before. There's nothing you can do about it. Once you've lost control like that, the inertia just takes you wherever you're going. But here's the escape. I've never seen anything like this. This guy is very, very lucky.
Yeah,
he's oblivious that the car's coming up behind him. He's been told to get out of the way. Amazing how he just managed to flip over the back of that car. I can't believe it.
Oh, and I'll tell you what, I think because of the damage to the back end of the Viper, it was up in the air, and he managed to almost slide underneath it. That was an unbelievable escape.
In these situations, you're much safer actually staying in the car and trying to get. Now we're on board with the Ferrari. Wow, what an impact!
Oh, golly, that was huge. Here we see it again from outside. And that was on board with the Ferrari that was stationary when it got hit by the 55 TBR there, which was coming down from the hilltop. Like all the major damage here has been caused from the top end of that hill. And look at this. I mean, we're talking thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of damage, and luckily there is nothing more than very, very expensive racing cars. The news we have is that the Marshal's been a little bit injured, but on the whole, there has been no serious injuries, which is extremely, extremely fortunate. Well, in these conditions, obviously no racing can take place, and they've got a heck of a lot of cleaning up to do to get this track race ready.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I thought, at the beginning, I thought it was the right move. Obviously, we pulled a big gap out, and all of a sudden the rain just come down. And that's what Tommy was saying. He was doing like 5 miles an hour coming over the top of the hill into Knickerbrook, and I think he just got the gap from the rain, and the others come over. So it was just a carnage. From talking to Tom and a couple of the others, it was just carnage. They just turned the still left to right, and there was like 3 inches of water on the track, and the big. Obviously, it's downhill there. So there's a big stream running across, and they were hitting that snap blade off and into the chicane. It was just nightmare, really.
Well, absolute carnage is right, and there is a lot of cleaning up work to do here as we look at Shane Lynch there just leaning up against the number 69 TBR. That is a very, very badly damaged Celine, and it's just a miracle that no one has been seriously hurt in these incidents. And again, a lot of work to do now.
Down here in the pits, the news is that some drivers want to race and some don't. But as the weather clears up and the track drains out, I reckon we could have a restart very soon.
Well, welcome back to round 9 of the British GT Championship, to a slightly drier, not by much, Oulton Park. And boy, if you missed the first part of this race, we have an absolute carnage, but we are going green flag racing again here. We've still got a very wet racetrack. We've got a lot less cars, but we got a heck of a lot of racing to go here. The Celine from the front row, the TBR now joining on the front row. The Lister there just a little bit behind. Tommy Urdos, still, this is our restart. We have an aggregate race. Oh, and it just looks like he ran a little bit wide there. The TBR tucked in behind it. Still have the first drivers. They haven't made their driver changes yet. Woo! Julian, this is all happening here.
Well, Tommy's in the best place because he's got nobody in front of him. You've got clear track. You see how much spray these cars kick up. And, a big slide there as well. but really do lose your vision when you're in the back of that pack there. And Tommy's got an ideal situation to pull clear and hand over to his teammate.
Now, we saw that before, Julian. Like you say, they just can't see anything. I was absolutely amazed when we saw some of the onboard shots before that they literally couldn't see, you know, the front end of the car, let alone down the racetrack. Now, obviously, we don't have the rain here at the moment. We've got a lot of spray, and Tommy Urdos is really getting the hammer down because we've got an aggregate situation. He knows he needs to win this part of the race, too. Rob Barth wants to show well, though, and he's staying in nicely close behind that Celine. Peter Cook doing a pretty good job in that Viper. Then we've got GTO cars. The Lister with Dave Warnock still at the wheel. The number 19 Marcos here with Jerry Taylor also having a pretty good run. Through Knicker Brook chicane, and this is where we saw all the problems before. They've cleared the racetrack up. It's almost sunny down there, Julian Bailey.
Seems to be drying out nicely, the track, but still got a way to go before they can change these tyres. They're going to be on wets for quite a while. If indeed they can change them. It'll be interesting to see what the conditions are like when they come in for their driver change.
Now tell us about this section of the track here, Druids Bend, one of the fastest bends on the track, but it's also covered, it's very much more tree lined, so it stays much wetter there, doesn't it?
Yeah, the circuit has spots where it's wetter than others because of the tree line, as you say, and that's not just there, that's all over the place on this circuit. That's what makes it a great circuit. Undulations, trees. You don't make circuits like this anymore.
Yeah, it really is a driver's track. All the drivers say that. Oh, what that was a talk about pressing on hard there. Rob Barth really getting the back end of that TBR out. Now this is Dave Warnock now. Now, the pit stop window was something like a minute or so into the first part of this second half of the race. So here we see cars coming in for their driver stop as early as possible. That was the Lister of Dave Warnock. Mike Jordan's going to take that car over. We saw the 57 Porsche of Steve O'Rourke is going to hand that over to Tim Sugden. So here we are. And oh, it looks like he stopped maybe a little bit short. No, Mike Jordan was in the right spot. We had some of the Lister crew were down near towards our camera position. Here we are. Oh, and Steve O'Rourke just throws himself out of the car onto the floor. So, one of the front-running GTO Porsches there. The Lister, oh, and that's the 99 Porsche, the 79 Porsche, the 78, the two PK cars, the 78 and 79 cars came together with that 52 Lotus, and it was the 99 car, I think a Richard Stanton there that seemed to have it coming together. Maybe we can get a reshot of that.
Well, the Lotus is well down the inside. You've got to say that the 78 car knew he was there and he was going to turn in. Contact was inevitable, and a few cars have to take the grass to avoid all the action. But plenty of action in this race, I have to say.
Yeah, there sure is. Richard Stanton there was just really tucked in behind the Lotus. Did that? Oh, and that's Mike Jordan has just taken over the Lister. We were talking about Druids Bend, and he is well and truly beached. He's just taken the car over, and he's thrown it in the gravel. 78 Porsche now comes in, and that is Piers Maserati, who's been doing a great job in that car. He's going to hand over to Robin Liddell. Now watch Robin Liddell fly in this machine. PK, very experienced team in this kind of racing. They're making just a one-off entry into the British Championship. Actually, two races they're doing, this one in Snetterton the next round, and they really want to show well. Right now, the guy's showing well. How did he manage to survive that first race? Oh, and this is Robert Ross going off in the Lotus, so he's been in all kinds of problems. But Tommy Urdos doing a great job in that Celine right now, just to keep the thing on the track, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, the conditions are improving all the time, so they've got to know how far you can push home a safety car.
Yeah, now I guess that must be because of Mike Jordan. Yes, it is. The marshals are trying to... Now, they can't normally push these cars, any outside assistance, unless it's in a dangerous place, and clearly it is. Here we see what happened here, Julian.
Well, it's his first lap out. He's misjudged the conditions, although we do think there was some oil up there at some stage, so maybe, well, not his fault, but he could have afforded to take it a bit easier for the first lap out, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right there. The reports are exactly that, Julian. The oil is down on that part of the track, so that will have contributed to it. But of course, it is the same for everybody out on the track. Same for this driver, Tommy Urdos. He managed to get through there. They pull him out, and they're going to put Ian McKellar in. TBR coming in for a pit stop.
Interestingly, no one's changing tyres. Everyone's staying on the wet, so the conditions aren't improving well enough. So it could be quite interesting towards the end of the race, because these wets are going to be given a hard time if it starts drying out.
Yeah, absolutely right. As you say, if it starts to dry out, these wet tires will rip up completely. Mike Jordan is back on the go here, though.
Very difficult conditions for everyone, but yeah, we're not going to risk anything. We need to finish today. I mean, obviously, Listers have had they spun and went into the gravel, so we have to capitalize on that mistake again, and we just need to keep on track.
Well, capitalize on the mistake of the Lister they did, because of course the TBR and the Celine came in for their pit stop while the safety car was out, losing as little time as possible out on the racing track, so it really has played into their hands. An unfortunate circumstance for the Lister, but boy, we got some racing here. Now Tim Sugden leading this pack of cars. Going down into the long left-hander here at Cascades. Now remember, we have an aggregate situation here. We have 2 races. The first part of the race does count. They've had a second restart of the race. Oh, the 79 car here of Jamie Maserati goes off. That's the father of the driver, Piers Maserati, who's in the 78 car. 77 Porsche Eurotech car, driven by the Jones brothers, tucked right in behind the other Porsche, the number 99, now being driven by Steve Hyde. So again, all of these drivers trying to get as far up the field as they possibly can because it's the aggregate result that counts. And now, one of those drivers pushing really hard, the battle of GT cars, the Viper and the TVR going down in towards Knickerbrook, and they've got a gaggle of GTO cars in front of them. Now, Peter Cook was one of the first drivers to come in and try to go onto wet tires. Didn't do him much good, though, because they called the race a halt. Tommy Urdos leads over Deer Leap.
Tommy will be taking it easy now, relatively. You know, be careful with the back markers and just try and bring the car home. More action for the Lotus.
Yeah, and we saw that Lotus make contact with the number 79 Porsche. It looks like he maybe got a broken wheel, broken stub axle there, and he's going to be out. And that is Godfrey Jones, who went off at Druid's corner as well, and he's just getting back gravel all over the track. And here the 99 Porsche, Steve Hyde, is battling with the 51 TVR of Piers Johnson now again through Cascades, going down to this fast left-hander at Island Corner. Boy, is that car been in the wars, Julian.
Yeah, we can see a dry line coming out now, and some of these cars will be squirming around. The tyres are, look at them squirming into here now. They're moving around a lot, and Sugden's coming under a lot of pressure.
Absolutely serious pressure indeed. Liddell is all over the back of Sugden's Porsche now. He's going to be winning this race in the yellow Porsche on aggregate, but he wants to win it on the track as we go down to Knickerbrook. Tim Sugden takes a defensive line on the inside. Is Robin Liddell going to be quicker on the way out? Absolutely fantastic battle between these two evenly matched drivers and evenly matched cars. And you say, Julian, a dry line here. So as they try and go around the outside, really the cars are squirming and struggling for grip. Here it is, Tommy Urdos, though, who's going to take victory if he could just get through here. And I wouldn't want to call this too early, the way this race has been going.
Action-packed all the way, and here he takes the victory. A well-deserved victory in these conditions, because anything can happen, you know, with these changing conditions, and they both drivers have driven a fantastic race.
Oh, look at this. This is Robin Liddell is already leading this race on aggregate, but he wants to win it on the track. He wants to get in front of Tim Sugden. I don't think he's going to be able to, but that is a fantastic overall victory for Robin Liddell and Piers Maserati. Well, that confirms that another victory for Ian McKellar Jr. and Tommy Urdos in the Saleen. Kane and Barf in the TVR come in second spot overall, and Robin Liddell and Piers Maserati win GTO with third overall.
We made a right tyre choice at the beginning, and the rain came, and I thought, oh no, and then it's the big accident, which, you know, is horrendous. But, you know, we needed to obviously want to score the points. But I don't know where the list came in, a bit of problems when he went out, because there was a lot of oil still at Druids. You know, so we've all done a great job just to keep the cars on the train, and Tommy done a great stint with with wets on. We were still very slippery because there's a lot of oil. It wasn't so much of a water thing, it was oil pretty much everywhere, but yeah, it was good.
Well, the championship position moved very much in the favor of Ian McKellar and Tommy Urdos. Dave Warnock and Mike Jordan sticking that car on the gravel didn't do their championship hopes any good whatsoever. Kane and Barf just a few points behind in third. But boy, what a battle between Tim Sugden and Robin Liddell.
I just got out of the car, didn't really realise we'd won, and, you know, it was a nice surprise. So it's nice to have come to Oulton and won.
Well, battle for the championship. Martin Short and Simon Pullen didn't score any points, so Tim Sugden managed to close the gap to just 10 points. Sliding down to fourth was the number 88 Ferrari of Callum Lockie and Jamie Davis.
Well, we got there eventually with the Saleen of Tommy Urdos and Ian McKellar taking a win and a step closer to the championship. Hopefully next time out at Stetson, it'd be a little bit kinder with the weather.
GT is back in a couple of weeks. Next Saturday at 7, it's Speedway Grand Prix. But coming up today, the Isle of Wight is about to be invaded by the HFFS Powerboat Championship.